This is James Dugard.
Welcome to my world.
A man who must surely deserve the title Britain's worst sleepwalker. Jumping through first-floor windows. Being caught in the street naked. Eating things that normally make him sick. Fighting people. James has done it all while completely sound asleep. And not surprisingly, he's lost a few girlfriends along the way.
My name is John Desborough, and my challenge is to try and stop James from sleepwalking.
Not a chance.
Let's try.
Other people have tried.
I'll bet you.
Fair enough. Be good if you could.
The only snag is we've only got a week in which to do it. So we're going to be setting up cameras to try and catch James in the act. What's more, we're going to be inside James's worst nightmares.
Inside his head and his body.
To find out what goes wrong when he's supposed to be going to sleep. Join us as we go inside Britain's worst sleepwalker.
One in 100 people, that's almost 6 million people in the United Kingdom, are sleepwalkers, and I am one of them. Now, if you've never done it before, you'll be asking yourself, so what's the big fuss about? I can promise you, sleepwalking is no laughing matter. There's the man who crashed his car at 80 miles an hour. The girl who woke up on the arm of a 150-foot crane. And, of course, the guy who jumped out a first-floor window, thinking he could fly like a parrot.
That man is James Dugard. By day, he's a mild-mannered 34-year-old puppet maker from Norwich in the east of England. But for the last 30 years, this otherwise placid bloke has been a sleepwalking Jekyll and Hyde.
So, James, you are Britain's worst sleepwalker.
Sleepwalker, sleep cooking, sleep eating, sleep flying, sleep everything, really. Dry cat food. Mum's seen me feed the cats, and at the same time I've taken a mouthful myself and just chomped on it and gone back to bed. It was worse when we had the dog, because the dog had like these sausages of meat and stuff, and they seemed to spread everywhere. There'd be like this dog food with bites taken out on the bed.
Tonight, like every night for years on end, James is up within around 3 hours of falling asleep. What's happening inside his head that makes him sleepwalk? James is lucky if he gets 4 hours of unbroken sleep a night. Plus, he can add night terrors, sleep paralysis, sleep eating, and even sleep sex to the list of what he's told he does when he should be sleeping. Anyone else would have been driven mad by now. He's tried everything, from spiritual healers to electrocution. Nothing's worked.
You name it, I've had it. Drugs, hypnotism, food regimes, sleep regimes, exercise. I've had the lot. And bugger all works. It never happens.
Mum Pauline has seen it all.
I do feel sorry for Mum, because normally, you know, you stop tucking your kid in and saying they're about nightmares and stuff when they're like 6 or 7.
gets upset, he breaks windows, he thinks that there's somebody in the room. It's not nice for anybody.
But there's one incident that James's family won't be forgetting in a hurry.
Apparently I sat bolt upright, charged around the bedroom and said, "Watch me now."
Terry thought it was a parrot,
I can fly.
and he decided to fly out of the window.
And I did. Bounced off the roof and then landed in the front garden, completely naked.
There wasn't an awful lot they could do about it.
Only a couple of the neighbours woke up, so it wasn't too bad.
And as if that wasn't bad enough, he got his, well, you know,
Tadger.
caught in the door trying to get back in.
Which is very nice, and considering I've just fallen out of the window.
So can we really fix him?
Well, I don't know. What do you think?
Is there something going wrong inside James's brain, or is his lifestyle purely to blame?
One of those would last me about 2-3 days.
3 litres of coffee a day. And 5 cans of energy drink containing taurine, which is said to boost the effects of caffeine.
OK, it's got a few odd things in it, but you don't half feel good after.
60 cigarettes. And big chocolate cravings. No wonder he's buzzing all day and long into the night. All this caffeine, taurine, nicotine and sugar confuses the sleep controls in James's brain. His super-stimulated nerve cells keep on firing, keeping him awake, or at best, only sleeping lightly.
First, it's time to gather some hard evidence of our own. These cameras are going to record all of James's bedroom antics. They're fitted with motion sensors, which trigger every time he gets out of bed.
Luckily for us, girlfriend Katie also wants a cure for James and has agreed to help us out.
I don't think you would find anyone else with anything worse. I mean, on average, you have about 4 to 6 night terrors a night, and obviously, I'm normally awake for most of them.
Do you want some? Do you? Shush, stay there.
And our night cameras have recorded the action.
I've heard stories of him pulling off doors and going outside, and the other thing that's quite worrying is I've seen him light cigarettes up and then get into bed with them, so that's quite scary to see him actually do that, and if I hadn't been awake, what would have happened? When he ran into the wall the other night, that was pretty bad because he did hurt himself. You get used to it after a while.
And when he started lashing out with his belt one night, James finally reached the end of his tether.
If this ever goes away, that'll be one of the biggest reliefs ever. The fact that you know you can go to sleep and you're not going to wake up and you're not going to try and belt someone. That's why the handcuffs on my bed, it's always great when your girlfriend first comes home, they see handcuffs and straps and stuff and they think, oh yeah. And it's not, it's for very bad night terrors. And no matter what you tell them until they see one, they don't believe it. Then they see one and think, oh yeah, okay, cool. If you're having a seriously bad time, you can then just sort of put them on, and when you wake up, you get out of bed and it sort of pulls you back and it gives you a few seconds to wake up. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and then it makes night terror worse.
He does apologise and he feels really, really bad in the morning because obviously he doesn't realise what he's doing.
I would love more than anything to be able to go round to my godchildren's and just stay the weekend. I've been invited loads of times, and that would be fantastic to be able to do. You know, they said, well, stay over, and I can't do. In a lot of ways, it has really screwed things up for me. It is far more than just sleepwalking. I wouldn't say it's ruining my life because I don't particularly know any other way. Well, I don't remember any other way. I'm sure it's shaped my personality in one way and another. You try several years of sleep deprivation and see how smiley you are.
James isn't violent by nature. For him, it's extreme night terrors that seem to trigger his sleep disorders.
Night terrors are nasty, and people, oh yeah, it's sleepwalking. You know, it's just getting up and going for a wander. It's not. You know, I'm sorry, but that is crap. It is nasty, and you get 5-year-olds having these. They say, no, it's all right, it's just a bad dream. Cobblers.
It's always fight or flight. It's very occasionally, it can be really funny. You wake up and you just laughing your head off. But normally it's either you've got to get out of there or you've got to stop something. When the night terror is over, you're still shaking like hell.
A lot of people would have gone mad by now, but James has managed to keep his sense of humour and even used his experiences to inspire his puppets.
There is definitely a piece of me in all of the creatures, which is quite scary, really. I'm so beautiful, you know. And they are all rude, they're lewd, and they're just out of order to people.
James definitely needs help. But we're hoping that the week we've got lined up for him, a kind of ultimate sleep therapy, is going to finally provide him with some of the answers he's been looking for. And who knows, maybe the holy grail to all of this, which is a cure.
James is understandably a bit sceptical.
What makes you any different from the whole medical profession in England? If they couldn't do one, how the hell are you going to find one?
Well, maybe not the whole medical profession, James, but we know what you mean. Step 1 is a brain scan to find out just what is going on in that head of his.
Take care. See you soon.
Bye-bye.
I love you.
I've got a bet with James that we can stop him sleepwalking. And to help us win, I've sent him to Harley Street in London, home to some of the top medical experts in the UK.
What I'd like you to do is just climb aboard, basically. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to do this scan of your head. Let's have a look round. See what's what and what's where.
Yeah, I get you.
A CT scan will enable the doctors to create an image of the inside of James's head.
Go get on with the scan.
Great, oven ready.
The body clock that sets when we sleep is actually controlled by many different bits of the brain, all working together, or in James's case, all going wrong. The scan will also show up any major abnormalities.
It's a bizarre feeling thinking that somebody's actually looking inside your noggin, which I would have thought was just a couple of mice and a marble in my case.
With the scan done, it's time to bring out the big guns. Dr. Urshad Ibrahim of the London Sleep Centre has been analysing all the results, including our night camera video footage, to see if he can get to the bottom of James's problem.
Hello, James. I'm Dr. Ibrahim. Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Come in. Take a seat, please.
If you don't. So what did the CT scan show? Anything exciting, or am I a Fruit Loop, mentally deranged, got hamsters running around inside there, or...?
Well, none of the above, actually, James. The CT scan is actually quite normal. The structure is normal. There's no brain tumour there. There's no vascular problem. And it's actually quite a normal brain scan.
Oh, well, that's something, I suppose. Step in the right direction.
Having said that, though, your video of your sleep behaviours are showing quite extreme sleep terror, sleepwalking type behaviours.
Yeah.
I must say, this is clearly one of the more severe cases of sleep terror, sleepwalking disorders I've seen. You have these sudden episodes of rousing from what appears to be sleep, you're shouting out, you're clearly in a lot of distress, and you start moving about and attempting to walk out of bed. I think based on that, we need to arrange for you to have a sleep study done at the Edinburgh Sleep Centre. Three top tips for people who've got sleep terror, night terror disorder. Firstly, a regular sleep-wake schedule, not having late nights, not having irregular patterns of sleeping and waking, very, very important. Number two, diet, extremely important to cut down the caffeine, have a healthy diet. Thirdly, exercise during the day and relaxation in the evening, again, extremely important. And if none of the above work, get in touch with a sleep specialist.
There he is. And what's the verdict?
Well, I've got a brain. Well, according to him, I have.
That's a bonus.
But there's a few other things that are a bit trippy and aren't working according to plan, so...
so what do we do?
We're off to a jolly in Edinburgh.
For what?
Haggis, whiskey, come on.
Well, I'll better get some wheels organised then. Taxi! So, we've made it to Edinburgh.
We've got no idea what they've got in store for us, except that we'll be here for the next 5 days.
Are you getting apprehensive?
Just a bit, yeah.
Hi there, welcome to the Sleep Centre. Just like to come in. We're just going to measure your neck.
Sleep manager Lizzie Hill kicks off with a full medical examination.
And we'll just do your blood pressure as well. And that's fine.
Good. Marvellous.
In charge of the Edinburgh Sleep Centre is Dr. Chris Idzikowski.
Jumping through windows.
But there's this horror. I mean, there is this sort of horrible situation where you
into in the middle of it and you're sort of doing something. It's like being dropped in somebody else's body.
After grilling James, Dr. Idzikowski decides that I can help by also taking part in the sleep study. Find out how later.
What are the chances? We can try to fix it.
Hooray!
I'm excited.
James, this is your room through here. If you just want to get settled in, I'll be with you in a moment. And John, this is your room just down here.
Right.
If you just settle in, I'll see you shortly.
OK. And this is where we're going to be sleeping for the next 5 days. In separate rooms, thankfully. I mean, no disrespect or anything, but you've got a reputation, what with punching people and whacking them with a belt in the middle of the night and things like that.
Keep your door locked.
Yeah, I will. Don't you worry. I will, son. I'm locking it now.
Electrodes will monitor our brainwaves. And CCTV cameras linked up to a computer hard drive will record anything James and I get up to for the next 4 nights.
And as a special treat, I bought James these.
We told James that we'd put chocolate bars in his room, but we didn't tell him where. To see if his usual sugar craving will get him out of bed tonight. But the Sleep Centre is playing dirty with me as well, because I've been known to move pictures around in my sleep.
Pictures?
At James's request, the mirrored wardrobe is turned around. If he sees his reflection while he's sleepwalking, he's likely to attack it.
There's a good chance I could have just put my foot through it, head through it, fist through it, bum, leg, arm, elbow, knee, chair, bed, something. Yeah, so better safe than sorry. Pulled legs off chairs before. Can't remember why.
Right, we're just going to put some wires around your face and under the chin.
The aim is to monitor activity in different areas of James's brain, along with heart rate, breathing and muscle activity. A special glue is used for the scalp to make sure the electrodes won't fall off a restless sleeper.
We're just going to pop that in your nose there to measure your breathing. Thank you.
Stitched up like a kipper, really.
See you in the morning. Sleep well.
Bye. Do I get a bedtime story?
You see, the thing is, I know from experience that when I'm in unfamiliar surroundings like these, I'm more likely to sleepwalk, so I'm a little bit nervous. But James
James has been sleepwalking and he's had night terrors every day of his life for years. So what's he going to do? No. Sleep is really a succession of 5 recurring stages of brain activity. Stage 1, or drowsiness, usually lasts up to 5 minutes. Stage 2 is when the brain activity slows, heart rate slows, and body temperature decreases as the body prepares to enter stages 3 and 4, which are called deep sleep. Stage 5 involves REM, or rapid eye movement, and is when we dream. The brain is excited, but the body is relaxed and our major voluntary muscles are paralysed. But in James's case, something is going wrong. His heartbeat is increasing, his muscles are tensing, he's gearing up for action. After about an hour, he should be in deep sleep, but his brain waves are revealing that he's not following a normal sleep cycle. The thalamus, a blob the size of a walnut inside the brain, isn't working properly. Normally it stops nerve impulses getting through to the prefrontal areas, those big blobs behind your forehead. But in James, rogue messages keep getting through, which means that his body can get up and walk, even though his brain is still asleep. And this is happening because he keeps partially waking up during the deep sleep stage. James is up half the night, but so much for them thinking they could make me sleepwalk. I am sleeping like a baby. Day 2, and I'm up and at it by 9 AM. And Dr. Ijikovsky is starting to realise just how bad James is.
Has he got a video nasty, or has he suddenly turned into Rip Van Winkle or something?
It turned into a nasty in that he pulled all his electrodes off.
You're joking?
No, scalp and all.
I mean, those are stuck on, they'd stick a battleship to a wall.
He was deeply asleep, and that's the whole point with night terrors and sleepwalking. A great chunk of the brain just isn't aware of what it's doing.
So he wouldn't have felt any pain?
No. Well, parts of the brain would have experienced pain, but he himself didn't experience the pain.
After freeing himself of all those wires, James sleepwalks to the door, where he turns on the light and makes his way into the corridor. Sleepwalkers often look like they're on a premeditated mission. A few minutes later, he wakes up and comes to get rewired by the sleep technician. It's all there in his brainwave graphs.
Now, he's still apparently asleep, but the brain waves are already sort of breaking down, a lot of muscle activity beginning to build up as he's ready to get going. Parts of the brain are beginning to wake up, but a lot of the brain is still deeply asleep. But off he goes.
Now, Chris, one of the things he does is he gets up in the middle of the night and goes looking for food. And in this case, we put chocolate around his room, and there he is, going for one on the door for him.
Okay.
And apparently this goes on in his house. He goes looking for chocolate.
Yeah, no, that's excellent. I mean, there is an internal clock in the brain that organises when you feel hungry, apart from how much food you've actually got in your tummy and how much sugar there is in the blood. And usually that hormone is secreted a lot during the night so that you don't feel hungry and go out looking for things. But if you're stressed and things have gone wrong, that tends to impact on that hormone. So those breaks for looking around for food are turned off.
Right. And he's persistent too. I mean, if he can't find one, he'll go looking.
Where it can be a little trickier is if you actually prevent him from carrying out the behaviour. Even though he won't be particularly aware of what you're saying, you're better off to just tell him to go back to bed and he can have breakfast later.
This guy sounds as if he's pretty severe.
Adults tend not to sleepwalk. If they're sleepwalking once or twice a week, they tend to regard that as fairly intense. We're talking here of a couple of times a night at least, from what he's been telling me, and currently it's been running for months.
Yeah, he's got it bad.
Yes, indeed.
Let's go and wake him up. Good morning, the world is bright and new. How are you feeling? Have some tea.
Hormonal, thank you.
I'll even spill it on the bed for you.
Marvellous. You had a good night's sleep then?
Fantastic.
Good man.
I heard you.
Did you?
Oh, sorry, it's banging a bit hard.
Right, this might hurt a little bit. I'll be as gentle as
Ah!
I can.
I can't remember eating them, but I can remember taking the one from the top of the door frame that was left up there, and the other chocolate bars on top of the wardrobe. When I got back into bed, I saw them, and I can remember taking them down, but I can't remember too much about it.
He's only had one night here, but we're about to get tough. James will be banned from all his usual vices. Gone are the 5 cans of energy drink and the 12 cups of coffee. He's got to cut back to 15 cigarettes. He normally smokes 60, remember. And he's not allowed to get stressed talking to work clients or staying up late. Come the afternoon of day 2, the detox is starting to kick in. James is feeling pretty low. Liz is going to keep a close eye on him to make sure he doesn't break the rules. The electrodes are back, in preparation for night 2. Sleep deprivation, stress and bad diet all affect the sleep cycle in the brain. How will James do tonight? Night 2. And right on cue, after 2 hours of sleep, another night terror. Deep inside James's brain, the most primitive bit is called the limbic system. And it's this area that is thought to control our most basic hopes and fears. Right now, there's a welling up of primal fears erupting like a volcano from James's brainstem. This is the root of his night terror.
It's usually kids that get night terrors, about 25% of them. Because their brains are still growing, they seem more susceptible. And it can be pretty frightening not knowing what to do to help them.
The key to helping anyone suffering from night terrors is to remember that the next day they are likely to be completely unaware of what happened the night before. So 2 nights down, and there seems to be little change. James only got 3 hours sleep last night.
Sore head again. The electrodes came off. Bit quickish, yeah.
He's off the cigarettes and caffeine, but he's still sleepwalking.
And you remember any of this? Or?
Not particularly, no, not at the moment.
Right.
The camera never lies.
It worries me that you've been ripping these monitors off your head.
I must admit, I saw myself doing it and I thought, bugger, that must have hurt, but I was fast asleep.
With only 3 days left, it's time to get serious about a cure. We're upping the ante for James, and he's not the only one. I knew I should have stayed at home.
Measure your heart rate, so I'll just
We're both fitted with heart rate monitors again.
Any kind of...
Right, this other device we've got here is a relaxometer.
Plus, this time, relaxometers, which can tell you how stressed you are, because when you're tense, your skin perspires more. Ah! This changes the electrical impulses detected by the monitor. Lie detectors use this technology too.
So they're both monitoring you and telling you what to do to keep wound down.
After you. Hang up. Right, here's the plan. James here is off to start 2 days of relaxational treatment and detox. Don't have too much for you. As for me, what have they got planned for me? 48 hours of intensive health, because what they want to do with me is see if they can induce sleepwalking. Now, being tired apparently is the ideal state to start with. Add into that lots of hot food, plenty of alcohol, and stress as well, and you've got the ideal cocktail for a night of sleepwalking hell.
First up for James is a relaxing massage, and his heart rate drops almost instantly. If you go to bed relaxed, you're more likely to sleep well.
It makes a bit of a difference to the electrodes that have been strapped to my head. That I've been ripping off each night, I tell you.
Whereas I am in the hottest curry house in the whole of Edinburgh. And for why, you might ask? Well, because eating spicy food just before bedtime is a known trigger for sleep disorders.
Indigestion can disrupt the normal stages of sleep.
And lo and behold, you're sleepwalking.
James continues his path to relaxation through meditation and calm breathing to keep his heart rate low and help clear his mind and de-stress.
But for me, the party is just starting. No!
Now, if that hasn't stressed me enough, the next stop should do the trick. Mary King's Close is the most haunted street in Edinburgh.
Visitors here have reported more unexplained events and paranormal activity than anywhere else.
Victims of the Great Plague are thought to still reside here. It certainly sends shivers down my spine.
Now, ghosts don't frighten me, normally. But being down here isn't doing anything for my stress levels, I can tell you.
Gentle exercise should help James by reducing stress hormones in his blood and making him tired. But don't do it just before bed, or your body will still be buzzing. I wouldn't normally drink just to pass the time, but this is all in the name of science. And what better than a fine Scottish malt?
Now, there's a myth about this stuff. And before you ask, yes, I am sober. And the myth is that alcohol or a nightcap will help you sleep more easily. But alcohol just makes you sleep more lightly. That's the trouble. And the transition from a deep sleep to a more fitful sleep is actually going to make me sleepwalk.
Just don't try this at home. Not only is it bad for your health, but a few drinks just before bed makes it harder for your brain to switch into deep sleep.
That was 60 at lunchtime without any alcohol.
Oh, and alcohol also increases your heart rate and blood flow, so you get a red face.
Am I going to sleepwalk? Here's to a good night's sleep.
Here's to a good night's sleepwalking. 10 p.m, and it's probably fair to say James has never been this relaxed in his life. This muscle-relaxing jacuzzi is the perfect way to unwind. It's essential to have a switch-off period between finishing your day and going to bed. Now, before you jump to any conclusions, this is actually planned. No, really, it is.
Good evening, officer. I've just had several fine glasses of Scotch malt whiskey tonight, and I need you to tell me, how much alcohol do I have in my body tonight?
Certainly I can do that for you. You seen one of these devices before?
Thankfully, no.
Okay.
Now, this piece of equipment here that the officer has is called it measures the amount of alcohol you got in your blood. That's what it does, doesn't it?
It does.
And it's going to find out how much I have in my blood tonight.
Just blow as hard as you can.
35 micrograms of alcohol in 100 micrograms of breath will put me over the driving limit. I'm approaching 40.
What's that going to do to my brain and the rest of me?
Well, as you go on, it's going, and that goes into your bloodstream. It's going to slow all your reactions down. The way you think, the way your body reacts to things is all going to slow down, and you'll eventually start to shut down, and you're going to get sleepy.
Thank you.
Okay, that's no problem.
But the real question tonight is, will James get his first good night's sleep in 10 years?
Apologies if you've got tickly feet.
So, hopefully, calm, relaxed James gets rigged up for his third night in that nice comfy bed. I've still got another 14 hours to stay awake. James has had years of sleep deprivation. Your mood, energy levels and mental abilities are easily affected by lack of sleep, and eventually it can kill you.
I know I've got a nervous tick.
I've got to watch both these clocks and note every time they skip 2 seconds.
Yes!
As dawn breaks on day 4, after 20 hours awake, I'm shattered. But missing out on deep sleep will actually make me more likely to sleep badly when I do hit the sack.
Yes!
While I was being tested, James was up to his old tricks. Despite his day of relaxation yesterday, he walked again last night.
Well, it's the morning after the all-night bender in Edinburgh. And as you can see, I'm not exactly feeling fantastic. James is here. What did you get up to last night?
Oh, it's good. Bit of walking, bit of computer resetting.
Bit of what?
Went for a wander and reset the computer.
No, you didn't.
Oh, it was fun.
It'll go down into our history. So he came over and tried to shut down the computer that was analysing what his brain was doing.
So ripping the wires off wasn't good enough. You had to rip them off. You had to come in and shut down
the computer off.
It's a first. I'll be living on that. It'll be part of my after-dinner speeches for years.
But Dr. Idzikovsky is sure James is on the road to recovery.
I've definitely had more sleep in the past sort of 24 hours than I have in an average week, though. Without a doubt.
Yeah, no, I think what's exciting is we've still got things that we can do here with you, so that I'd like to get to that point where the brain's sort of going for wake up, you're beginning to get up, but nothing happens, you just go back to sleep.
Me too, yeah.
James's brain needs a reboot. As for me, I've now been awake for 24 hours. It's 10 a.m. and all I want to do is go to bed. But will they let me go to bed? Oh no. I've got a date with Alistair McRae, former British rally champion and world rally driver.
This is going to be a real test of just how sleep deprived I am, because this is the Racelands karting circuit just outside Edinburgh. There's 900 metres of this, which in my book is 899 too many.
And I think he's getting too tired now. It must be the age he's at.
Well, you give up, man.
Normally, I'm a dab hand at this game, but my driving's rubbish this morning because I'm sleep deprived. My heart rate's pretty high as well.
If you hadn't slept for the night, you'd be just as bad as this.
I don't think he realises if he pressed the throttle, he would actually go a bit quicker.
If I was in this state out on the road, I could well become one of the 20% of accidents caused by tiredness.
He seems pretty good in the straight bits, but as soon as there's any thinking involved, he's struggling. Oh, he's going a bit wide. You know, John, that was pretty pathetic.
Yeah, well, Alistair, you try driving on a hot curry, 6 glasses of whiskey and a couple of pints of heavy and no sleep, and then we'll see how good you are.
I don't think it would make much difference to yourself. That was bad.
Meanwhile, James has the most boring task in the world, watching paint dry. Apparently this kind of task really can calm you down. But James is proving to be a tough nut to crack. Decades of not enough sleep and anxiety caused by his night terrors and sleepwalking mean that his brain is still highly stressed. And the stress hormone cortisol is flooding through his body. Fixing him is going to take more than just detox. If he could just relax, that full night's sleep that he's been after would be much more likely. Just 2 days without sleep is more than enough for me.
Can I go to bed now, please?
Indeed.
But it's on our 4th night of the sleep study that everything changes. Remarkably, James's treatment seems to be working, and the monitors show him sleeping normally for the first time in years. But me? Now I'm sleepwalking. I actually chemically changed my brain waves and disrupted that bit of the brain that normally stops messages getting through to my arms and legs. I've turned into James.
Apparently, I have played around with the pictures on the wall, and I wonder what the explanation for that might be.
What happens in that situation is that for whatever reason you were thinking about needing to do that, your deep sleep didn't keep you asleep. And unfortunately, because you were sufficiently tired not to wake up, you couldn't recognize what was happening. So you carried on and did it. The vigilance task, which I expected to have a sort of fairly decent effect, you managed to catch 52.5% of the targets.
I mean, that's dreadful. That's not very good at all, is it?
In some ways, what was also a little bit worse was there were 4 false positives amongst them, where you pressed the button and in fact nothing had happened.
Yes!
So if you take that to a driving situation, that meant half the time you would have missed a car coming in from a side road that's about to hit you, or you would have twitched and reacted to a situation that actually wasn't a real situation at all.
And for James, the results have been even more surprising.
Here he is.
Yep. Not only a fantastically good night's sleep, but no walking either.
That's amazing. For the first night in years, James didn't sleepwalk.
No walking.
Not even an attempt to go and walk?
Not a titter.
You joking?
No. Say that.
But with just one night left, can we really hope to stop James sleepwalking forever?
So he's now sleeping better and not walking.
It's great.
2 nights without walking is a breakthrough, but he's not cured yet. If we can, we want to stop him sleepwalking for good. We're going to see someone who reckons he's got the answer. This is our last resort for James.
And today is the last day.
Dr. Ewan Crawford is a GP with a difference.
You're right.
He's cured phobias and addictions before with hypnosis, but this is the first time it'll be attempted as a cure for sleepwalking. Could this be the belt and braces cure that James needs?
Forever. For that we come to you. Will it be possible, do you think?
I feel sure, yes. James is an intelligent lad. We're going to hypnotise him tonight, and while he's under hypnosis we'll relax him and put in some post-hypnotic suggestions so that he won't sleepwalk in the future. When James is nice and relaxed, his sort of logical side of his brain is switched off, his subconscious is alert, and at that point I'll be making the suggestion that in the future he's just not going to sleepwalk.
So it's really all about reaching to that bit of the brain that tells him what he's doing and tell it, we don't do this anymore.
Exactly.
It sounds like science fiction. Shutting down the left part of James's brain that handles logic, the message, stop sleepwalking, will be planted in the right side that controls his intuition and subconscious.
Farewell and good luck. Let's go.
Feel your body getting heavier.
I must emphasise, this isn't fake, and it's the first time hypnosis has been filmed like this on television as a treatment for sleepwalking.
This has been very good. Heavier and heavier. And feel the relaxation spreading out.
Personally, I'm a bit sceptical about this. I don't know whether it's going to do the trick, but it's our last chance, so if it works, it works.
No longer a sleepwalker. No longer a sleepwalker. 5-4, lighter and lighter. 3-2, lighter and lighter. 1, wide, wide awake.
Honestly, that is unbelievable. I can feel it on. You know when you're sort of resting and like the extremities go pins and needly. But yeah, I feel relaxed, but awake and alive. I did get the giggles just as we went under, and I thought, shit, don't start that now. Don't start that now. But they subsided. I am impressed, yeah. I am seriously impressed.
And even more impressive, on James's 5th and final night in Edinburgh, he slept right through.
So James, this is great. We've proved we can get you through the night without the night terrors, without you getting up and wandering around. And I would guess from this week you've learnt a lot.
I've had a fantastic week, yeah.
Are you looking forward to the nights to come?
I'm a damn sight more optimistic than I was when I turned up.
Well, I'm very happy. Well done.
So James has been scanned, analysed, recorded, relaxed and detoxed in the hands of some of the UK's top sleep experts. And it looks like we could be onto a winner. But the big question now is, will it stick? We've done all we can. Now it's up to James.
Well, it's now a month since James had his sleep makeover with us, and I'm back in Norwich to find out if, in the end, it's all been worth the while. Now, I really don't know what to expect here. Is he back to his old habits? Did his night terrors and his sleepwalking reappear the moment he walked through the door? Is he in?
Go away. Not today. No, no. How's it going?
Very well.
Nice one.
And you?
Yes, do you want to come in?
I do.
No,
Get me in, because it's very cold out there.
Do you want a cup of tea or something?
Did you say tea?
Yeah, tea this time.
Sounds promising. So, are you sleeping better?
Yes.
That's good. You're smiling a lot as well.
Yeah, yeah. I've got to be honest, in general, things are a lot different. Pretty much everything has changed. Work, home life, social life, professional life, a lot. It takes a bit of getting used to, in some respects, because everyone expects you to act in one way and you don't, you act in another. My mum definitely has noticed the difference.
His eyes looked different. It sort of lost some innocence, which was quite strange. I mean, it's 34 and he seems a bit silly, but they'd changed.
More sort of settled and stuff.
And yes, he's better, he's more grounded, he's grown up.
And girlfriend Katie sees it too.
Definitely family and friends have all noticed that he's a lot more alert, a lot more awake and a lot more happy.
It can only be for the better, can't it?
Life's a lot more fun at the moment, put it that way.
So what about those top tips that the doc gave us when we left the sleep centre in Edinburgh? Do you remember the top 5 for healthy living? How are you getting on with those?
It's not so bad. It's like, you know, there was the coffee, the breathing, sleeping, diet and stuff like that. But I'm sticking pretty much to all of them. It's like the coffee beforehand. I'd be on, like, I think we worked out something like stupid, like 3 litres of caffeine a day. That's now basically as good as out the window. 3 cups a day and the energy drinks are totally gone.
Beer gone?
Yeah, I haven't bothered with those at all. Diet, that's improved no end. It's always toast in the morning, fruit or something mid-morning to keep the sugar levels up.
You never did
lunch,
that.
I know. Lunch and then a proper dinner. And I've cut down on the fags as well, down from like 60 a day to 15, 20. Well, that's got to be good. Cheaper.
But the one I thought you would never crack would be 6 hours of sleep a night.
That was a tough one. I still get bored sometimes at night when I'm sort of lying there, but next thing I know, I'm asleep, so it's not so bad. But it is important to have like a switch-off period. So you finish reading, you do whatever, you then lie down, turn the lights off and wait. Whereas before I was waiting till I was absolutely knackered. So like my eyes are closing, close the book, job done.
So we've ironed out a lot of the faults in sort of lifestyle, but what's that hypnosis done for you?
That was the best bit. By the time we were there, I was getting a bit pissed off with the whole thing. Yeah, I think, no, I don't want to play anymore. I've come off coffee. I'm not smoking as much. I just want to go home, get on with my life, stuff this, it's not working. You know, because you know those lectures like they hurt, they rip the buggers off. When I came back, it was like bang, bonus.
Excellent.
And things felt different from that moment. I didn't think it was going to work, so it was going to be crap. But things are a lot different now, without a doubt. And there's stuff I can look for, you know, I can do now, which I couldn't do before. Like, you know, go out with your mates and stuff without worrying about stuff. Go off for a holiday and not be too worried about completely belting the hotel. And just being more generally chilled, just being more relaxed and laid back. So there's a lot more potential than there was. It's like as soon as we came back from Edinburgh, things started changing work-wise as well. There's a lot more to look forward to than there was.
Just 6 weeks ago, James was trapped in a world most of us would struggle to imagine.
Stay there.
A world of night terrors and wild sleepwalking. But through science, willpower, and a few simple sacrifices, we've helped James find a solution.
I'm glad you're feeling better, because it means I win my bet.
Yeah, I guess you did, didn't you? It's definitely been life-changing. And I'm just looking forward to see what happens.
So, we won the bet. We cured his sleepwalking.
Thank you.
Ah, don't you just love a happy ending?
Marvellous. Bye. See ya.